Some stories don't begin with grand victories or golden fortunes. They begin in silence, in loneliness, in the quiet corners of forgotten hallways. I was just a janitor, a widowed father struggling to hold life together for my daughter, when fate placed a broken boy in my path, clutching a battered chessboard like it was the last piece of his world. A single game turned into something more, lessons of sacrifice, patience, and hope. But when his wealthy mother entered the picture, suspicion clashed with truth, and a battle far greater than chess began, a battle for love, healing, and family. Do you believe one simple encounter can change lives forever? If yes, like this video and share your thoughts in the comments. The smell of bleach has a way of sticking to me, like a second skin I never asked for. No matter how many times I wash my hands, it clings, just like the weight I carry every night. My mop slides across the school hallway, squeaking against the tiles, and I whisper to myself, another shift done, another dollar closer to rent. Daddy, will you be home before I fall asleep? My little girl's voice from earlier still echoes in my ears. I'd knelt beside her bed, brushing the loose strands of hair from her forehead. I'll try, Peanut. If I don't, I'll kiss you when I get back. You won't even know. She had frowned. But I'll know, Daddy. I always know. I remember laughing softly, even though my chest ached. All right then. Tomorrow morning we'll have breakfast together. Pancakes, I promise. Now, hours later, the school halls are empty, but her words travel with me. They always do. Am I really doing enough? I mutter, leaning on the mop handle. The janitor's closet smells of old rags and chemicals, but I don't mind. It's better than the silence in my head, the silence where my wife's voice should be. I catch myself again. Don't go there. If I let that hole open, I won't crawl out. So I mop, I scrub, I polish. Invisible man, keeping the floors clean while the world sleeps. Footsteps. I freeze, expecting maybe a teacher who forgot something. But when I glance down the hall, I see him, a boy, no more than 8 or 9, sitting on the bench near the trophy case. His back slumps, his eyes fixed on the ground. I clear my throat. Hey there, buddy. You lost. No answer. I set the mop against the wall and walk closer. His small hands fidget with something. A piece of paper, maybe? No, not paper. Wooden pieces. My eyes focus. A chess pawn. Chess, huh? My voice tries to sound lighter than I feel. He doesn't look up, just keeps rolling the pawn in his palm. I sit on the bench across from him, careful not to scare him off. That's the soldier piece, you know? Marches one step at a time, but if he makes it all the way across the board, I pause, realizing I'm talking to myself. Well, then he can be anything. Still nothing. Inside, I wrestle with question. Why am I even trying? I've got enough on my plate. My daughter. Bills. The broken fridge that keeps leaking. Why stop for a stranger's kid? But then I catch his eyes, just for a second, and I recognize something in them. That same hollow space I see in the mirror some mornings. The space grief leaves behind. I shift on the bench. You know, my daughter beats me at chess sometimes. She says I'm too slow. She's probably right. The boy's lips twitch, like he almost smiled. I lean forward, elbows on my knees. You waiting for someone? Parent? Teacher? He shrugs. The smallest movement, but it hits me like a brick. That shrug carries the weight of someone used to waiting. My throat tightens. Well, maybe I'll bring a board tomorrow. If you want, I can show you a trick or two. But you'll have to promise not to laugh when I lose. Silence again. But this time it's different. His eyes lift, meeting mine for real. They're not just lonely, they're searching. I don't push. I just stand, pat my knees, and grab my mop. All right then, I'll be around. You know where to find me. As I drag the mop bucket back down the hall, my chest feels heavier and lighter at the same time. He didn't speak a word, but somehow he spoke to me. Why do I care so much? I ask myself. I've got my own child to fight for, my own wounds to hide. But walking away feels wrong, like leaving part of myself behind. I whisper under my breath, maybe tomorrow. The bleach smell fills my nose again, sharp and bitter. But under it, Faint and fragile, I carry something else. Hope. And I know when I come back, I won't just be mopping floors. I came back the next night earlier than usual, mops squeaking against the tiles, and I half hoped, half doubted he'd be there. But when I turned the corner, I saw him. Same bench, small shoulders bent over a battered little chessboard. The pieces were scattered like he didn't know where they belonged. Guess I wasn't the only one keeping promises. I said quietly, his head lifted, slow, uncertain. You mind if I sit? He didn't answer, but he slid the board toward the middle of the bench. That was good enough for me. I lowered myself down, careful not to make the moment awkward. All right, I said, touching a rook with my finger. This guy? He's like the castle wall. Straight lines only, forward, back, left, right. Strong, but a little predictable. He tilted his head, eyes flicking between my hand and the piece. You play before? I asked. He shook his head. Just a small motion. Okay, then, we'll start simple. Pawns. I picked one up. Little soldiers. They march forward one step at a time. Slow, steady, but if they make it all the way across. I paused. They could be anything. A queen, a rook, whatever you want them to be. For the first time, his lips parted. Anything? Yeah, I nodded. Even the strongest piece on the board. He studied the pawn in his hand, like it suddenly had a secret he'd never noticed. Inside me, something twisted. That's me, isn't it? A pawn, just crawling forward. But maybe that means I could be more too. Now, the night, I continued. Moves like this, an L shape. Kinda tricky. Jumps over the others. He tried it, fumbling the piece across the board. His brow furrowed hard, but he didn't give up. Not bad, I said, smiling despite myself. Took me weeks to figure that out when I was your age. His eyes flicked to mine, just for a second, and I swore I saw something spark there. Not joy exactly, but attention. We played a clumsy half game, him moving pieces wrong, me correcting him gently. No scolding, just guiding. You don't have to rush, I told him when he knocked over 2 pawns at once. Chess isn't about speed. It's about thinking ahead, seeing what might come before it does. He whispered, almost too soft to hear. Like life? That caught me off guard. My mop leaned forgotten against the wall, and I stared at him. Yeah, I said finally. Exactly like life. He nodded, eyes fixed on the board, and I realized he wasn't just learning chess. He was listening to every word like it mattered more than the game. Sometimes, I added, voice rougher than I meant. Life takes away pieces you wish you could keep, but you keep playing. You keep moving forward, even if it's just one square at a time. My throat tightened. Why am I telling him this? Why am I bleeding out the stuff I barely say to my own reflection? He placed his pawn down carefully. Do you lose a lot? I huffed a laugh. More than I'd like. But losing teaches you things winning never can. He leaned back, eyes on me now, studying, like no one had ever explained something without barking orders or talking down to him. And for a moment, I forgot about the mop, the bleach, the paycheck waiting at the end of the month. I wasn't a janitor anymore. I was a father teaching a boy something worth knowing. The hallway was so quiet I could hear the hum of the lights above us. Then footsteps. Sharp, echoing, breaking the fragile bubble we'd built. The boy's head jerked up, body stiffening. The words froze me where I sat. What exactly is going on here? I turned, mop bucket behind me, chessboard between us, and there she was, heels clicking against the tile, a figure cut from a different world than mine. Her dress shimmered under the harsh school lights, sharp lines, expensive fabric. Even her perfume seemed too polished for these empty halls. The boy shrank slightly, clutching upon his hand like it might protect him. I started, standing too quickly, nearly knocking over the bucket. He was here alone. I thought maybe a game would keep him company. Her eyes narrowed, raking over me, not in curiosity. No, it felt like judgment. My worn uniform, callous hands, the tired circles under my eyes. In that second, I felt like dirt clinging to her spotless heels. Is that so? Her voice was smooth but edged. And who are you to be keeping my son company at this hour? I cleared my throat. Name's Daniel. I work here. Janitor. Her brows arched slightly. A janitor? The way she said it, like the word itself didn't belong in her vocabulary, made my stomach twist. I looked at the boy, hoping he'd say something. Anything. But he just stared at the board, silent as stone. I appreciate your effort, she continued, her tone stiff. But my son doesn't need strangers teaching him games in empty hallways. Something in me bristled. I want to bow my head, apologize, retreat into the shadows where people like me belong. But then I saw the way the boy's hand tightened around that pawn, like letting go of this moment would mean losing more than a game. He wanted to learn, I said quietly, and I thought maybe he deserved that much. Her eyes snapped to mine, sharper now. Are you suggesting I don't give my son what he deserves? My chest burned. Careful, Daniel. Don't cross a line you can't uncross. I swallowed. I'm saying sometimes kids just need someone to sit with them. No money, no titles. Just time. For the first time, her mask slipped. Just a flicker, but I caught it. A kind of distance in her gaze, like she didn't even know how to answer. The silence stretched, broken only by the faint hum of the overhead lights. Then she turned, extending a manicured hand toward her son. Come on, we're leaving. He didn't move. He looked at me, then the board, then back at her. His lips trembled, but no words came out. Now, she said, firmer. The boy shook his head almost imperceptibly, clinging tighter to the pawn. My heart thudded hard against my ribs. Maybe, I dared to say, voice low but steady, maybe he could finish this game first. Her gaze whipped back to me, ice cold. For a second, I thought she'd tear me apart with words sharper than knives. But instead, she exhaled through her nose, slow, controlled. Thank you for your time, Mr. Janitor, but I'll take it from here. She tugged at her son's arm. Reluctantly, he let the pawn drop onto the board. The little piece clattered against the wood, sounding far louder than it should have. As they walked away, her heels echoed like gavel strikes in an empty courtroom. Each step felt like a verdict. Stay in your place. But the boy glanced back once, eyes locking with mine. No words, just a plea. A quiet don't go. And right there I knew I wasn't done. I couldn't be. Even if it meant risking the little dignity I had left, I would be back. For him. For me. Her heels were still echoing in my ears when I unlocked my apartment door that night. The sound followed me like a ghost, each step hammering home the truth. I was out of my league. A janitor daring to speak up to a woman who probably had more money in her purse than I'd see in 10 years. Daddy. My daughter's voice cut through the noise in my head. She ran toward me, hair messy from play, pajamas too big for her tiny frame. She wrapped her arms around my legs. You're home. Finally. I bent down, forcing a smile. Yeah, Peanut, I made it back. Her nose wrinkled. You smell like soap and something stinky. I laughed, the tension loosening just a little. Bleach, sweetheart. That's the smell of Daddy's hard work. Ew. She giggled, tugging me toward the kitchen. You promised pancakes in the morning, but I'm hungry now. I sighed, setting my bag down. All right. Let's see what we can do. The fridge hummed its uneven tune, the one that reminded me every day I needed to get it fixed. I pulled out eggs, a few vegetables, and the half loaf of bread I'd been saving. Scrambled eggs okay? I asked. She hopped onto a chair at the table. With toast. As I cooked, she chattered about her day at school, how she drew a picture of a cat with wings, how her teacher said she was a very good helper, how one girl in class didn't share her crayons. Her words spilled like sunshine across the kitchen, but my mind kept drifting. That boy, the way his hand clutched the pawn, the way his eyes begged me not to leave. Daddy, are you listening? I blinked, nearly burning the eggs. Sorry, Peanut. What did you say? She pouted. I said, I think my cat drawing would beat your chess game. That pulled a real laugh out of me. Oh yeah? You think your cat can beat my queen? Yes, she said firmly, grinning wide, because my cat has wings. Her joy was so pure, so alive that it hurt, because I couldn't stop imagining that boy, sitting alone in the hallway, no parent listening to his silly stories, no one laughing at his jokes. We ate together, her swinging her legs under the chair, while I forced down each bite past a lump in my throat. Afterward, I carried her to bed. She curled against her pillow, clutching her stuffed rabbit. "Daddy," she murmured, eyes half closed, "are you sad again?" The question knocked the breath out of me. "Why would you think that?" "Because your eyes look heavy." I kissed her forehead, brushing her hair back. "Don't you worry about my eyes, Peanut. I've got you. That's all I need." She whispered, "Promise?" "Promise." She drifted off, and I sat there longer than I needed to, listening to her soft breathing. My little girl, my anchor, everything I did was for her. So why was my heart still tangled up in someone else's child? I leaned back against the wall, staring into the dark. Maybe teaching that boy chess wasn't about him at all. Maybe it was about me remembering what it means to guide, to care, to show up. Maybe I needed to remind myself I was still a father, not just a man mopping floors. The truth pressed harder. My own brokenness felt lighter when I imagined giving him a piece of the love I gave my daughter. I rubbed my face, whispering into the quiet, "God help me. I can't just walk away from him." The fridge buzzed in the background. A neighbor's TV played too loud through the wall. The city outside kept moving like it didn't care who I was. But my heart was already set. Tomorrow, I go back to work early. Not for the paycheck, not for the mop, but for the boy with the pawn in his hand. I came in early, the hall still smelling of polish and faint lemon cleaner. My mop leaned against the corner, untouched, because he was already there. Small frame hunched over the chessboard, pieces lined up in perfect rows. "You're back," he said, almost like he doubted it. I grinned despite myself. "Looks like you beat me here." "Who set the board?" "I did." He tapped a pawn. "White goes first, right?" "Always." I sat across from him, surprised at how much I'd wanted this moment. He moved his pawn 2 spaces. I mirrored him, then leaned back. "All right, lesson 1. Don't just move because you can. Think about why. Every piece you push changes the whole game." His brow furrowed. "So, I shouldn't move fast." "Exactly. Patience. Sometimes waiting is stronger than charging." He nodded, chewing his lip. His hand hovered before finally sliding out a knight. "Better," I said. "That's a piece with power. But remember, power isn't enough if you don't protect it." He smirked. "Like a bodyguard?" "Something like that." We went on, each move turning into a lesson. I found myself talking more than I expected. "See this bishop?" I lifted it. "Moves only in diagonals. If you forget that, it's useless. You got to know your limits." He muttered, "I don't like limits." I tilted my head. "Why not?" "Because," he hesitated, eyes fixed on the board. "Because Mom says she's too busy for games." "Too busy for me." The words hit harder than any blow. I saw in the way he pressed his lips tight, pretending not to care. But I'd heard that tone before in my own daughter on the nights I worked too late and she fell asleep waiting. I set the bishop down softly. "God, this kid's carrying more weight than he should." "Hey," I said carefully, "you know what my little girl tells me when I mess up?" He glanced up, curious. She says, "Daddy, you promised." And you know what? She's right. She doesn't care how tired I am, or if I've had the worst day cleaning up after other people. She just needs me there. That's what makes me, well, her dad. His eyes softened, like he was letting the words sink in. "So," I added, nudging a pawn forward, "I don't think you're asking too much. Wanting your mom to notice you? That's not weakness. That's human." For a long second, silence stretched between us. Then, quietly, almost like a secret, he asked, "You think she'll ever play with me?" My chest tightened. How do I answer that without breaking him further? I forced a gentle smile. "I think maybe she doesn't know how yet, but people can learn. Same way you're learning chess." That finally cracked him. A small laugh bubbled out, soft and unsteady. but real. It was the first I'd heard from him, and it felt like I'd won more than a match. I laughed too, shaking my head. You hear that? That's better than checkmate any day. We started another game, lighter this time. He teased me for losing my rook on purpose, and I let him think it was true. Watching him light up mattered more than winning. Inside, though, my thoughts churned. Am I stepping into something that isn't mine? This boy isn't my son. My daughter needs me. What right do I have to play mentor when I can barely keep food on our table? But then I looked at him, his small fingers clutching the night like it was treasure, his eyes brighter than when I'd first seen them, and I knew the answer. Maybe I didn't have the right, but I had the chance. And chances don't always come twice. Your move, I said. He leaned forward, pushing a pawn with dramatic flair. I'm going to beat you this time. Big words for a little man. I teased, hiding my pride at a spark. We kept playing, the hum of the fluorescent lights above our only witness, until I felt a shift in the air. I glanced up. She was there, the boy's mother, standing in the doorway, watching us in silence. Her silhouette filled the doorway, still and sharp. The boy's hand froze on his pawn. I swallowed, the plastic chair suddenly feeling too small beneath me. Ethan. Her voice cut through the hum of the lights. Softer than last time, but with an edge. It's late. You should be home. He lowered his head. Just one more game, Mom. Please. Her heels clicked as she stepped forward, polished suit brushing against the dusty desks. Her eyes flicked to me. Janitor's uniform, rough hands on a chess piece, and suspicion clouded her face. Who are you to sit here with my son? I steadied my voice. Just a man showing him how the pieces move. That's all. Chess. She almost scoffed. You think this matters? I met her gaze. It's not about the game. It's about someone sitting across from him, listening, teaching, caring. Her brow creased, as if I'd spoken another language. He has tutors, the best money can buy. I shook my head slowly. Tutors teach moves. Fathers teach meaning. The words left my mouth before I could catch them. My chest tightened. Maybe I'd gone too far. Her lips parted, but no answer came. Ethan's eyes darted between us, wide, pleading. Mom, he whispered. He explains things different. He talks to me. That pierced something in her. Her shoulders stiffened, but I saw the flicker in her eyes, the kind that comes when truth stings. She straightened, slipping a hand into her designer bag, the sound of paper rustling. A crisp envelope. I'll pay you, she said flatly, for your time. My stomach twisted. Heat rushed to my face. Money. That's what she thought this was. I pushed the envelope back across the board. No. Her brows shot up. Everyone has a price. Not me. My voice came out rougher than I intended. I've seen what happens when a parent thinks they can buy back time. My daughter. She doesn't care about the bills I pay or the food I scrape together. She just wants me there. That's something money can't fix. Her eyes narrowed. So this is charity, then? I forced myself to breathe. This is me being human. Something your boy deserves. Silence stretched. Only the faint buzz of the lights. Ethan's shallow breathing. She studied me like I was a riddle. A janitor refusing cash? A man in overalls daring to tell her about love? I almost wished she'd yell, anything to ease the tension. Instead, she slipped the envelope back into her bag. You're unusual. I managed a dry smile. I get that a lot. Her gaze lingered on Ethan, then back on me. Don't fill his head with things you can't promise. I won't promise him the world, I said, just a seat across the board. Her jaw tightened. She turned, heels striking the floor like gunshots. At the door, she paused, half looking back. Good night, Ethan. He whispered, Good night, Mom, too softly for her to hear. And then she was gone. The air felt lighter without her, yet her words clung to me. Everyone has a price. Did I? Bills piled on my counter. My daughter's shoes too small. Rent due in days. I closed my eyes, ashamed of the flicker of temptation. But no, not like this. Not at the cost of a child's heart. When I looked back, Ethan was smiling, small, uncertain, but real. Your move, he said. I laughed under my breath, shoulders easing. Maybe I was crazy. Maybe I was stepping into a storm I couldn't handle. But his smile was worth staying. Ethan's smile stayed with me the next day, even as I packed Lily's lunch and rushed her out the door. That night, she tugged at my hand when I grabbed my mop bucket. Daddy, can I come with you tonight? Please? I don't want to stay with Mrs. Patel again. She makes me eat spinach. I chuckled, but my chest tightened. Lily, work isn't a place for kids. She pouted, lower lip trembling. I'll be quiet. Promise. Just let me be with you. Her words cut deeper than she knew. I couldn't shake Ethan's loneliness, and now my daughter was begging for time too. Maybe it wasn't a mistake to let her come. Maybe it was exactly what needed to happen. Fine, I sighed, but you stay by me, all right? She nodded, grinning wide. Best janitor's helper ever. When we got to school, Ethan was already at his table, chessboard perfectly arranged. His eyes lit up when he saw me, then flickered at Lily. Who's she? He asked. I placed a hand on her shoulder. This is my daughter, Lily. She's tagging along tonight. Lily waved eagerly. Hi. Do you play chess too? He shrugged. I'm learning. Good. Let's learn together. She plopped into the chair beside him without hesitation. Ethan blinked, then gave the tiniest smile. Okay. I leaned against the desk, watching. Lily picked up a pawn. This guy looks like a marshmallow soldier. He's Sir Chubby. Ethan frowned. He's just a pawn. That's boring. She set him down dramatically. Sir Chubby protects the queen with his life. Ethan snorted, the sound so natural it startled me. You're weird. Daddy says I get that from him. She giggled. I couldn't stop smiling. She has a way of pulling laughter out of the darkest places. Your turn, Lily urged. Ethan moved a knight. She leaned closer. Good choice. But if you take my rook, Sir Chubby's going to come after you. Ethan laughed harder this time, shoulders shaking. My throat tightened. He's been starving for this. Someone to play with, to laugh with, and she gave it to him in minutes. I pulled up a chair. So now it's 2 against 1? Yep. Lily chirped. We're a team. I groaned dramatically. Guess I'm doomed. The game unraveled into silliness. Lily made up rules. Ethan followed along, and soon they were high-fiving over victories that didn't even make sense. I watched, torn in two, pride swelling at my daughter's joy, sorrow burning at the thought that Ethan had never known this kind of warmth at home. My girl lives on scraps of my time, yet she shines. He's surrounded by gold, yet hollow inside. How twisted is that? Daddy, Lily said suddenly, you're smiling funny. Am I? I cleared my throat, maybe because I'm losing to Sir Chubby's army. Ethan grinned, a spark in his eyes I hadn't seen before. We're unbeatable. That's when the sound of heels echoed down the hall. My stomach dropped. She entered. Ethan's mother, flawless as always, her presence heavy. But she didn't speak right away. She froze in the doorway, staring at her son. Ethan was laughing, full, bright, unguarded. Mom, he called, waving. Look, we're playing together. Her eyes flicked to Lily, then to me. Suspicion rose, then faltered. For once, she didn't cut me down with her stare. Instead, she seemed stunned. Lily waved cheerfully. Hi, I'm Lily. Want to play too? The woman's lips parted, but no words came. She only nodded faintly. Her gaze locked on Ethan as though seeing him for the first time. I caught her watching me too. Me. The janitor with bleach-stained hands, and for a moment her expression softened, as if questioning everything she thought she knew. And in that silence, I knew a seed had been planted. Her silence that night lingered with me. The way she looked at her son, then at me, as if seeing cracks in her own armor, kept replaying in my head. I didn't know if it meant anything, but I hoped. Days later, I returned to the school expecting Ethan at his chess table. He wasn't there. The empty chair hit me like a stone in the chest. Maybe he's late, I muttered, though no one was around to hear. Still, unease crawled up my spine. I searched the halls, pushing my mop slower than usual, listening for his laugh. The laugh Lily had managed to pull out of him. Nothing. By the time I stepped outside, dusk settling over the yard, I spotted him. Alone, sitting on the swings, shoulders shaking. "Ethan," I called softly. He turned, wiping his face roughly. "Go away." My gut clenched. "Hey, I was worried. You weren't at the table." "I don't care," he snapped, voice cracking. I walked closer, crouching down to his level. "Talk to me, champ. What's going on?" Tears streaked his cheeks, glistening in the dim light. "She doesn't see me," he whispered. My chest ached. "Who doesn't?" "My mom." His lip trembled. "She doesn't care. I could disappear and she wouldn't even notice." I swallowed hard, fighting the sting in my eyes. "God, kid, I know that pain too well." "You're wrong," I said gently. "I see you, every single day. You're not invisible, Ethan." He shook his head furiously. "You're just saying that." "No," I whispered, my voice rough. "I mean it. You matter. To me. To Lily. You make a difference, even when you don't believe it." His face crumpled. "Why doesn't she love me?" The words sliced through me like a blade. I wanted to tell him she did. I wanted to promise it. But I'd lived too long with empty promises to hand him one now. "I can't answer for her," I admitted, steadying my breath. "But I can tell you this. You're worth loving. More than you know." His small fists clenched around the chains of the swing. "I hate feeling this way." I reached out, squeezing his shoulder. "I know, and I wish I could take it away." Then, a sound behind me, the click of heels on pavement. I turned. His mother stood a few feet away, her face pale in the fading light. Ethan stiffened. His voice shook. "Did you hear me?" She didn't answer right away. Her eyes brimmed with something raw. Fear, guilt, maybe both. "Ethan," she breathed, stepping closer. "I heard." His chin wobbled. "It's true, isn't it? You don't care." I held my breath, ready to shield him if her pride lashed out, but her face that shattered. The mask she always wore slipped, revealing something almost human beneath. She dropped to her knees in front of him. For a long moment, she just stared at her son, as if realizing how much of him she'd missed. Then, slowly, she wrapped her arms around him. It wasn't graceful. It wasn't perfect. But it was real. Ethan's shoulders shook as he buried his face against her. She closed her eyes, clutching him like she'd never let go. I turned my head, giving him space, but my throat burned. Maybe this is the moment she finally sees him. Maybe this is where change begins. She didn't look at me, didn't say a word, but she didn't have to. Her silence wasn't cold this time. It was surrender. And somehow, I knew nothing would ever be the same again. Her silence had stayed with me. Not the cold, dismissive kind I'd grown used to, but the kind that said something inside her had cracked open. Still, I didn't expect to see her again so soon, at least not like this. She found me the next evening while I was sweeping the gym floor. No heels this time, no sharp perfume, just tired eyes and a voice barely above a whisper. "Can we talk?" I leaned on the mop. "Of course." She glanced around, as if afraid of being seen without her armor. I don't know how to do this." My brow furrowed. "Do what?" "Be a mother." Her voice cracked, and suddenly she wasn't a billionaire, not some untouchable figure. I saw only a woman admitting defeat. I swallowed hard. "You love him. That's the start." Her eyes darted away. "But it doesn't feel like enough. I don't know how to show it. He looks at me like I'm a stranger." The mop handle felt heavy in my hands. "I know that look. I've seen it in Lily's eyes whenever I screw up. You don't have to buy him things," I said slowly. "He doesn't want money. He wants you. Your time. Your voice. Your arms when he's scared." She closed her eyes. "I've missed so much." I sighed, the weight of my own regrets pressing in. So have I. There are nights I lie awake thinking about everything I can't give my daughter. But then she laughs or hugs me, and I realize love isn't about what we don't have. It's about showing up with what we do. Her gaze snapped back to mine. For the first time, she wasn't looking through me. She was listening. Really listening. Presence, I said, nodding. That's what he needs. Not perfection. Just you here, now. Every day you show up, it gets easier. Every day you listen, he learns he matters. Her lips trembled. And what if I fail? I let out a shaky breath. Then you try again. That's what being a parent is. It's failing, and still coming back the next morning with the same love. She didn't speak for a long moment. Then she whispered, "No one's ever told me that." I gave a faint smile. No one ever told me either. I learned the hard way. But it's worth it. Every scar, every sleepless night. It's worth it when your child knows they're loved. Something softened in her face. The pride that once shielded her was gone. She looked human. "Thank you," she said quietly. "Not for advice. For seeing me." I shook my head. "Don't thank me. Just go see him. That's all he's ever wanted." She hesitated, then gave a small nod. Not the kind of nod that ends a conversation, but the kind that starts a promise. As she turned to leave, she stopped, her back still to me. "You've given him more than I ever could." I felt my throat tighten. "No," I said firmly. "I've only reminded him of what's already his. You're his mother. That's irreplaceable." She left then, without grandeur, without walls. Just a woman carrying hope like it was fragile glass. I leaned on my mop, staring at the door she'd walked through. Maybe this is what healing feels like. Not when the pain disappears, but when someone else learns from your scars. For the first time in years, I realized I wasn't just teaching a boy. I was teaching myself how to be whole again. Her footsteps faded down the hall, leaving me with the mop and the hum of the empty gym. But in that silence, something had shifted. Not just in her, but in me. Maybe we were both learning how to start over. The next evening, I found him waiting in the library. The boy already at the table, chessboard open, his mother beside him. She looked different. No polished armor, no cold distance. Just a woman with uncertain hands resting near her son's. His face lit up when he saw me. "You came." I chuckled, setting my bucket down. Wouldn't miss it. My daughter tugged at my sleeve, eyes wide. "Can I play too, Daddy?" "Of course," I said, pulling out a chair for her. "Tonight we all play." The boy grinned at her. "You'll be on my team, okay?" She nodded eagerly. "I'm good at nights. They jump funny." He laughed, and I swear it was the freest sound I'd ever heard from him. No weight, no hesitation. I sat across, meeting his mother's gaze. She gave me a small nod, almost like an apology, almost like gratitude. "Do you know how the pieces move?" I asked her gently. Her lips curved in the faintest smile. "Not really." The boy leaned against her arm. "I'll show you, Mom." That single word, Mom, hung in the air, tender and raw. Her eyes shimmered, and she nodded quickly, as though holding back too much. We began. "All right," I said, moving a pawn forward. "This is how every game starts, with small steps." The boy repeated, "Small steps." My daughter wrinkled her nose. "But pawns are boring." I laughed softly. Even boring pieces matter. Sometimes they're the ones who protect everyone else. The boy leaned in. "Like you protect your daughter?" The words hit me deep. I swallowed. "Yeah, exactly like that." His mother shifted, watching me closely, as if the answer had been meant for her too. As the game went on, the board became more than wood and pieces. It was a mirror. My daughter's giggles filled the air each time. She tried a sneaky move. The boy explained rules to his mother with a patience that felt new, almost like he was proud to teach instead of always waiting to be taught. At one point, my daughter whispered to him, "You're good at this. I think you just needed someone to play with." He looked at her, then at me. "Yeah, I think so too." I watched his mother take a hesitant turn, moving a rook the wrong way. He laughed, not unkindly, but with genuine joy. "No, Mom, it goes this way." She raised her hands in mock surrender. "You'll have to be patient with me." His answer came quick, almost instinctive. "I don't mind." The tenderness in those 3 words nearly undid me. That's all he ever wanted, to not be a burden, to not be invisible. We played for what felt like hours. Moves and counter-moves, laughter and little lessons. Each captured piece carried more than strategy. It carried healing. At one point, the boy leaned closer to me. Do you think I'm getting better? I smiled. You're not just getting better at chess. You're learning to see the whole board, the choices, the sacrifices, the chances. That's life too. He nodded, chewing on the thought. So, if I lose a piece, it's not the end? Not if you keep playing. I said softly. The game isn't over until you give up. Across the table, his mother's eyes met mine. There was no judgment there anymore, only something that looked like understanding. When the final move was made, my daughter crowning herself champion after toppling the king, we all laughed, even his mother. It wasn't polished or restrained. It was clumsy real. I leaned back, heartful. Maybe this was it. Not grand gestures, not wealth, not victories, just a table, a game, and the courage to show up. The boy looked at me, smiling wider than I'd ever seen. Will you come back tomorrow? I hesitated, glancing at his mother, but she surprised me with her answer. Yes, she said firmly, her hand resting gently on his. He will. We both will. Her tone carried no wealth, no pride, only promise. When it was time to leave, my daughter slipped her tiny hand into mine. The night air outside was cool, carrying the faint smell of rain. She skipped beside me, humming. Daddy, she asked. Yeah, sweetheart. Does that mean we're all friends now? I squeezed her hand. Yeah, I think it does. She smiled, then whispered, You're the best dad. The words almost broke me. I looked down at her, her innocence glowing brighter than any fortune. I've spent so long thinking I was just a janitor, just a man struggling to make ends meet. But tonight, I realized I've been carrying the greatest wealth all along. I thought of the boy's laughter, the mother's softened gaze, my daughter's hand in mine. Broken pieces finding their place on the board again. Daddy, she asked softly, tilting her face up at me. Yes, love. We're never really alone, are we? I bent down, kissing her forehead. No, sweetheart, never. The streetlights flickered as we walked home, our shadows stretching long across the pavement. And in that simple silence, I knew the truth. I hadn't just taught a boy how to play chess. I hadn't just shown a mother what presence meant. I had found healing, one move, one moment, one love at a time. The game wasn't over. A new one had just begun.